After that performance tonight, there's no shadow of a doubt that Brendan Gallagher is back to all-star form and the Montreal Canadiens are going to win the Stanley Cup. No, we'll be talking about that game tonight, though. It was awesome. But before we get into that, we got to talk a bit about a great Lane Hutson injury update, plus a face-off statistic showing Montreal is one of the best teams in the league at it after struggling a lot last year. All of that and more on this episode of Habs Digest. Jesse, let's just dive right into the Habs topping the league in face-offs first. Now, this is actually going to come into play a lot later in the video when we dissect the game, so feel free to skip ahead later in the video if you want to watch that game recap. But you're going to want to see this anyway, so we got to show this. This is before tonight's game, actually, and Sean Monahan improved upon that while Evans and Suzuki dropped a little bit, but face-off percentage. Jake Evans, second, 64%. Monahan, third, 63.9%. Suzuki, fifth, 63%. Jesse, this was such a struggle for Montreal last year. Like, maybe not for Monahan, but especially for Suzuki. And even Jake Evans taking that crazy jump. I feel like this was one thing a lot of Habs fans were just wishing we had improved on last year, but it seems like the guys put in the work this summer, and these kind of numbers, like, these can often be, like, if it's a one-goal game, a couple of face-off wins here and there, key ones, can really change the outcome, so it's really awesome to see.
That's true. And even tonight, and you can draw a big correlation of whenever we're able to win some games is, being able to win those draws, especially like on a power play where the other teams, in our defensive zone, right? So they're doing such a great job. The fact that we got three guys in the top five, even our third line and then our fourth line guys, playing so well, Nick Suzuki as well. Like, this was a big problem for us last year. We're, lacking possession of the puck so much. So be able to do this, like, there's so many statistics that don't really mean anything, but obviously, like, winning faceoffs, like, that's a huge statistic that really matters. That is so important, and that's going to be really huge for this team this year. So it's so nice to see to improve on something that's so fundamental to the game.
Yeah, and like I said, right, you're late in the game and you're down a goal and you're in the offensive zone with the goalie pulled and you have three guys. Now, again, are they going to all hold 60%? Maybe Monahan, honestly, at this rate, it's crazy. The other two probably not, but to have three guys that are, in that like mid 50s range would be just phenomenal. Now, obviously, it's a small-ish sample size, but it's a clear improvement. We didn't see these guys up at these high numbers even at this point last year. So, like you said, it's a really important part of the game and something that came into play a lot tonight. But again, before we get into that, we got to talk a bit about Lane Hutson. And oh boy, look, if you watched the video yesterday, we were getting a little worried because there was no real Lane Hutson updates. But today, we finally got one thanks to TVA Sport. A team spokesperson for Boston University confirmed to the Journal on Monday morning that it was even possible that Lane Hutson could be in uniform this Friday, their next game, to face the University of Massachusetts Minutemen, which is just about the best thing you could hear. They said he's day to day with, I think they said upper body injury, or I'm not even sure if that was confirmed, but that's pretty much what it has to be. But yeah, I mean, just a big sigh of relief knowing that Lane Hutson is healthy enough to keep playing, and hopefully we'll get to see him Friday.
That's huge. And the fact that there's no head injury there. And the thing about Lane is, and the reason that you don't need to worry about him is, sure, he's a little bit smaller, but he's a competitor. He's tough and he really wants to win. And I think there's a lot to be said about that, about somebody that just brings that much, of an engine, to the game, so nice to see him back. Obviously, he started the season off amazing, wearing the A, for Boston University so far. So, I mean, I can't wait to see him continue and get back on the ice really soon.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk, at least between us, about him probably playing for the Habs before the season is over. I mean, like, we've talked a bit about this, but if he continues to produce at Boston University, like we all expect him to, do you see the Habs doing something like they did with Cole Caufield, like they did with Jordan Harris, and pull him out of college as soon as not pull him out of college, but when he's done the college season, bring him to Montreal, especially if we're out of the playoff picture when it comes time?
You have to. It's the formula. Really get them that experience, right? We've showed that it's so worth it. Even if we're burning, a year off their entry level contract, like, it's so worth it for them to really get to in the NHL, get to play. Especially with Lane, you get to see what he needs to improve on because he's really going to take those things and work on that in the off season.
Yeah, he's got so much potential. There's so many Habs prospects that have so much potential, but hey, we'll save that for another time because right now we got to get into this amazing Habs Sabres game, and this could be huge for Montreal. And this is actually a lot of things, but it's mostly Brendan Gallagher, Tanner Pearson, and Jake Allen. But before we get into all that, Jesse, you guys might have noticed that Justin Barron scored the first goal for the Habs tonight. And look, shameless, shout out to myself here. When this title thing goes away, I'm going to pop it up. So this is an exchange between me and Jesse earlier. Lane upgraded day to day, of course. Jesse says, I'm calling an RHP goal tonight. Wrong. I said, I'm
Gee.
calling Barron. And what, not even 3 minutes into the game, Justin Barron pots one. So shout out to him. But Jesse, looking at this box score again, as I mentioned, Jake Evans, 64% on the dot, Monahan, 70. You got Gallagher with a goal and assist, Allen, stellar in net. Who do you even want to start with? I can't even pick a guy to highlight.
I want to pick with the whole team because the Habs continue to be good 5v5, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they only let in 1 goal against, and guess what? You know, it was shorthanded.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're getting this great team effort. I feel that really, besides, you know, the team effort, Jake Allen was our best player tonight. Make no mistake about it. He got peppered with shots. You know, there was enough shots that he faced tonight. We're outshot, but he made some amazing saves. I've been actually quite amazed at his ability of just not only like the saves he's making, but how he's tracking the puck, how he's doing it, how square the shooter he is, how he's following the play and everything else. So I think that, you know, he was absolutely amazing, you know, tonight as well. But again, you know, Gallagher, you know, big difference maker, going to the net hard, you know. But I think if we're talking about Gallagher and him playing well, I think we got to talk about Sean Monahan as well, because I feel like he's really driving that line. And you could make the argument like, okay, he could very easily be on the first or the second line for the Habs, but I get where St. Louis is coming from. He wants to have that depth on the team because Sean Monahan's such a great player that he's going to be better than the majority of his competition that he's playing against on, let's say, the other team's third line. So that's why he shines. That's why, you know, he's winning so many draws, you know, so important for this team, you know. So obviously another great game from him as well.
Yeah.
And that line.
Well, and that line, yeah. I mean, it was phenomenal. I actually think you raise a really good point, but not only is he not going to have to always go up against the other team's top players, if we take a look at Sean Monahan there, just in the middle of the forwards, he had over 4 minutes of power play time, and he had over 3 minutes of shorthanded time. He was second on the team in power play time behind only Nick Suzuki, and he was second on the team in penalty kill time behind only Jake Evans. So not only that, Jesse, I think just saving his legs, right? Like having him play the third line center kind of role, having him come in for those key faceoffs, but also play like over like almost 7.5 minutes of special teams. It's obviously a really good idea to you know, give him a little bit of a break, I suppose. But yeah, Monahan was, other than Allen, I think the best player tonight, even though Gallagher and Pearson got the points. Jake Allen, of course, absolutely phenomenal. I think you're right. So many nice glove saves in that game. His stocks are going through the roof right now. But like, you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a bit more about Gallagher and Pearson and that great goal they connected on in the third period. There was a beautiful tic-tac-toe pass down to Gallagher below the goal line, right out to Pearson, tic-tac, goal on the power play. Tanner Pearson has 5 points in 5 games. He has 3 goals, 2 assists in 5 games. And we saw Brendan Gallagher get another Gallagher goal, the classic Gallagher goal, where he's crashing. Like, it's not a Gallagher goal if he's not on his knees crashing towards the net, shoving his stick between the goalie's legs. I'm sure you could take something I just said out of context, but man, it's awesome to see these guys, these vets, Monahan, Gallagher, and Pearson carrying the team. Isn't it crazy to say that so far, I mean, this was maybe Gallagher's best game, but so far, Tanner Pearson, and we knew Monahan was good, but Tanner Pearson is legitimately a solid player for the Montreal Canadiens, and we got him for free.
That's true, you know, and he's shown that he can score in the past, you know what I mean? Definitely some 20-goal seasons there, for sure. And you know, a beautiful one tonight on a tic-tac-toe play on a power play to really seal the win for the Habs. And obviously what I like about this is a power play goal, but also tonight, a key thing for tonight's game is that we're able to protect the lead, which is important. We've been playing good so far in this early season, but again, protecting that lead, and then to do it on a power play, you know, what could be looked as a former weakness, really turning it into the strength to really lock in the win tonight, I thought was really huge for this club.
Yeah, there were so many things going right now. Again, the defense still needs some work, and that's the same thing as last year. These guys are still young. Giving up that many shots against, Jake Allen had to bail the Habs out tonight because the Sabres could have easily had 4 or 5 goals. Let's be honest. There was a lot of really good opportunities, but overall, especially in the first period, the Habs really dominated. And I think as the game went on, they started to lock down defensively. There was a shift in the third where the Sabres were on the power play, and David Savard had one of the best shifts you will ever see. He was like trying to break up passes, he was blocking shot after shot. He was everywhere. He was maybe the reason the Sabres didn't get that power play goal late in the game. But yeah, I mean, as I just popped the box score up one more time, I don't even know. Like, again, Jesse, there's so many people we can talk about. I thought Slafkovsky had a decent game, nothing crazy. Caufield, Caufield and Suzuki's not showing as much as maybe we'd like, but hey, he's still out there on the special teams, and it is what it is. But on defense, I think I wanted to talk a bit about maybe Barron just for another quick second before we end this off, because again, we kind of brushed over the fact he scored tonight, but you gotta think that's such a huge boost of confidence for this guy who was scratched right early in the season. There was talks of Matthias Norlinder making the team over him. He makes his season debut just last week, and now he comes out and scores like a few minutes into this game in Buffalo. He was really everywhere tonight, especially offensively. He looked a lot sharper than he looked in the preseason, and maybe it was just a case of shaking the rust off, but I'd love to see this version of Justin Barron a bit more.
True. And it's also not just big for him, but also for our entire team, because we've been missing a little bit of offensive production from our D-men and from kind of showing that willingness to jump in the play. And I feel like his goal tonight, that it could almost encourage some of our other defenders to start kind of jumping into play and maybe trying to make those offensive contributions at time, which you have to do. But, we have to, say these positive things about Justin Barron right now, because he had all the odds stacked against him. Like, we're starting to have a really stacked team on defense, right? And the fact that he could kind of come in despite everything and then play so well, in such a period of time under so much pressure is really a testament to him. And this is huge for our team, right? We're showing like, okay, we're having probably more prospects than we actually realize that are actually panning out. Like, it looks like Justin Barron, like, that's an NHL defender right there. I think it'd be hard to argue otherwise. And it's just to determine what his ceiling is at this point in time. But each and every player that we can get more that kind of lives up to their potential, like Justin Barron is proving that he's doing. And I know it's still early in the season, but that's huge for us. Like, that is really big, right? And we can't take this as a given that he's coming up tonight and playing such a big role in this win.
I mean, let's be honest. When we came into this season, one of the things we really wanted to see was how the prospects progressed. Did they take a step up in their game? Are they improving on their weaknesses from last year? Because that's all you really want from prospects, especially in another tanking season, and especially in one where Kirby Dach goes down with an injury. You want to see who's going to step up in their absence. And I think so far we're seeing some pretty good stuff, right? Slafkovsky looks like a different player so far this year. I'm sure the points will come rolling in eventually. Xhekaj looks like a key player on this team, even if he takes a dumb roughing penalty here and there. But you're right. I mean, Barron looks good. I mean, do we see him as like a perennial top 4 guy for the Habs? Maybe not. But again, he's shown that he at least has that NHL level talent. So a lot of really good things to come out of this game. A great 3-1 win against the Buffalo Sabres. They held down the fort. We got some like points from the vets. Monahan dominating the game. Pearson and Guhle with 2 points each. Barron getting the goal. It was a fun night in Buffalo. And hey, we hope they can follow it up tomorrow, I believe, against the New Jersey Devils. But that'll do it for this, I guess, hybrid edition of Habs Digest. It's late. I'm tired. It doesn't really matter. But if you're still around at this point in the video and you're hearing this rambling, you should hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Because if you haven't, honestly, what are you doing? Because you're watching at this point in the video. You enjoyed it. You should watch all of our other videos and all the videos that are going to come. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.